You are listening to Alternating with Eric, episode 27. I have me, of course, Connor, and I have... You are listening to Alternating with Eric, episode 27. I am Connor, and I have Eric here with me.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
How are you doing, Eric?
I have been quite busy this week, obviously with work and training, but whenever I could, I've just tried to take some time and relax. Mm-hmm. Mostly still been playing good old War Thunder and World of Warships, well, mostly World of Warships, because I have decided, you know what, I'm getting sick and tired of playing the same sort of nationalities. Yeah. Let's try out the French ships. So that's what I've been doing. Been trying to unlock new ships for the French state. Mm-hmm. And yeah. And what about you, Connor?
Well, I've been keeping up with Persona still, and I've also been recently. I've been watching some lots of things on Netflix. Like I finished Master of None. Finally got on to watching that show. Pretty funny show. And then because I was watching that, I was like, I want to watch some other stuff that doesn't feature white people in the main cast. So I watched Dear White People, which was kind of a controversial show, but it's actually pretty good in some episodes. So I enjoyed that. And then I haven't been watching Uzaki-chan because that hasn't been out yet, but I've also been watching on Netflix. I'd never actually watched it, but I kept on hearing about Seven Samurai, the anime version. It's actually pretty good. Been watching a couple episodes of that.
Yeah, I heard about it as well, and I saw someone review it. It actually looks pretty good. So do you think it'd be worth just looking at it, just from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the animation's not that great. It's gonzo, which is kind of hit or miss sometimes. But overall, I thought the show, like the character designs, the voice acting, things like that are pretty good. And then what else? So I've been also looking forward to going and seeing Tenet, the new Christopher Nolan movie. So I'll be going and seeing that when that comes out. And I just want to mention one thing here, just because it happened recently, and it was just really sad and shocking to hear. Chadwick Boseman, who you guys may not know, you may have known him because he's been in a couple big movies. He was obviously biggest role probably everybody knows him for is Black Panther. He was in Avengers, Civil War, and Endgame, and then Infinity War, and then also Black Panther. And he was great in all of those. And he was really great in James Brown and 42, which was about Jackie Robinson, the first sort of major black baseball player. And he was great in all those movies and just such an icon as an actor, to always take on interesting projects. And really sad to see him go. I feel like it's just a major loss. So that was a big shock to see this morning. Because I just found out on Twitter, literally just browsing for the news on that. If you can't tell this week, we are very tired. We did a guest spot with our friend Chung, and that didn't turn out that well. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to say that the actual podcast part was bad, just like the audio was a bit bad. So I'm going to apologize for that now. But we are recording this at about 10. We're both very tired. We've been trying
I'd say more like 11 o'clock right now.
Is it close to 11?
Yeah, it's close to 11. Which for us being, middle, adults is quite tired. Yeah,
it's a little bit easier when
honestly, I think if we were back in our 15s and 16s, we would be so full of energy.
Yeah.
Our own parents would be telling us, just go to sleep.
I wanted to touch on one other thing, and we'll touch on this now, which is seen a couple other podcasts talk about this. So Kiss Anime recently went down. And I wanted to talk about this because one big thing that I certainly has been bothering me that people they touch on it, but they don't really get into it is region locks. There's a lot of stuff in the comments about region locks, and I, for the longest time, do not get why we need region locks, why we have them, why they're a thing. Because they're the biggest reason for people to pirate, and they're the biggest detriment to the series being seen.
Some people feel the opposite. Some people feel like it is the best way to stop pirating, but then of course
putting region locks on shows.
There are some who argue that.
I think it's very stupid.
But in reality, it's not that. It's a matter of controlling one's own ability to view what is needed. So there's countries like Australia have some pretty strict laws around that as well. It's why people would basically just download it through other avenues or watch it through international TV or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't encourage any sort of limitations or understanding of what you should watch or what you shouldn't.
I just think because I know it's not as bad anymore, but Funimation, when they had a streaming site and they had stuff with YouTube, they had so many bad limits on their shows. Remember just their YouTube channel, they would have stuff you couldn't watch on there that was licensed. They had the DVD license through Madman. And maybe there was something with Madman that just couldn't get sorted out. But I know, the license was in New Zealand. I know they had, shown stuff at conventions of their stuff that wasn't available. I think stuff like Black Butler and shows like that, like Uron, wasn't available on their channel, which baffled me. Things like that make no sense. Or I was thinking about this the other day because one thing I did watch actually this week that I didn't mention is I went back and watched The Invisible Man, the original one, because, I heard about the remake. And me and my friend Jamie really liked the original H.G. Wells' Invisible Man, both the book and the movie they made in 1931. So I went back and watched that. Now, I couldn't find any way to watch that was legal. I couldn't find it on, any of the Netflix or anything like that. Now, maybe there is a TMC version of Netflix where you can watch the stuff, maybe there's something like that. But I don't imagine that Claude Rains and James Whale are getting any money from people watching these movies now on Netflix or whatever streaming service. I don't imagine they have much family still alive at this point. I don't see the point in not making these movies available, but then also charging a lot for these movies too, or then I think at some point you should almost, if something gets to the point where it's so old that barely anybody who's associated with that family, has even met those relatives or know anything about them, when you get to the fifth generation of that family, when it's a 1930s movie, I think at that point, the only case where that's not the case is Bill Finger, the guy who created Batman, because he didn't get credit for the longest time. In that case, they just wanted the credit. They didn't actually want the money. But there's lots of cases where people, it's does Lon Chaney's great auntie need money from the Wolfman still? Do we still? And there's shows like that with anime. In some cases, it makes sense because there's still a lot of those creators still alive, and I'd still like to see some of them make money. But at the same time, I'm not saying you should put all of those out for free, but maybe put them out at a cheap, affordable rate for people to, or like TMC, Tokyo Movie Shinsha. They closed down years ago. I think they still do some smaller work, but they're mostly they're done as an animation studio. Eric will know their work because that Lupin movie we watched, they did the animation for that. And then most famously, Rose of Versailles, which they did very good animation for that. But wouldn't you they had a DVD license with somebody, I think Right Stuff or something like that. Mostly American distribution. So if you wanted to buy that series, you weren't going to get it here. You're probably going to have to import it. Now, I don't like that, but fine, I guess. But what I would say is, why not just put all of those episodes up on their YouTube channel? Maybe you could do a thing of okay, you paid a little bit of money or something, $3 or something, to watch the whole thing or something, or watch an episode or something like that. Or put it on, I don't know, Crunchyroll or something like that, where they've already got a subscription thing. I know they do sometimes put classic titles and other titles like that. We'll put it up on like Anime Lab here, which is our New Zealand equivalent. I just think there's like some titles that just go. Like, I don't know. I get like I think it's why me and you sometimes still buy DVDs, because we don't know if like something's still going to be out there, if it's going to be gone, if we're going to still be able to have an access to watch it. But then,
and I also buy DVDs for the time when the internet would be severely restricted to the point where even trying to watch a video
it's not restricted. It's just that those things are going, and they're the only way to watch them is through like a DVD or something like that. Which shouldn't be the case. Like people,
but it is a good way to at least sample, an anime. Because then, if you watch a few episodes, you like it, you keep watching it. You don't.
Let me ask you this though, because with Netflix and things like that, I don't know how much money goes to the creators on those, but I do know that there's like, when you buy a show, you buy it once. Money goes once. When you watch a show on Crunchyroll or something, do they get money for the entire show? You just watching it, like even if you just watch one episode, or do they get money for each episode? Because I think it's maybe like that, maybe in that case. And I think, because you get money for the ads, don't you? It's ad revenue or whatever it is, which kind of does mean that like you are getting less, I think, but you do technically get paid for each episode in a way.
Yeah.
So like, I like DVDs and stuff like that, but how much money does that, like, especially me and you, we buy secondhand as well. Like we've bought a lot of stuff secondhand, which is great, but at the same time, I know like if I buy a secondhand DVD of Code Geass or whatever, no one from Clamp isn't getting any money back from that.
No.
None of the dub voice actors are even going to get money back from that. Like, no one gets money from that. I always, like, in the back of my head, always questioned if I go to a video shop, how much money does the licensor get from that? Because I remember the licensor at one of my video shops had a really rare Takashi Miike movie called The Bird People of China. It's not a one that everybody would like, but it's a rare movie. And the licensor for that, I'm pretty sure, was like dead. Like they weren't running.
I remember you asking me to check once amalgamated videos and Kilburnie shut down.
Because it was the only copy, and I have a DVD rip of it because literally it's a hard movie to find.
Yeah,
and
I did manage to find a copy of Mr. Vampire then.
Yeah.
But
the reason I bring this all up is because and actually you make your point.
I was just going to say that when I went to look for Mr. Vampire, the guy who helped sell me these DVDs stole it and charged me for it.
Yeah,
but I couldn't prove anything. So yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say is sites like Kiss Asian and things like that actually were really good. Like they didn't support obviously the industry, but one of the great things that they did is they did have good prints of the movies which are not available. Like Netflix, I have a massive problem with their Kung Fu selection, but just with their Asian movie selection. Like they have a couple good new releases, but it seems like all their releases are like not DVD rips, but TV rips or something like that, or they're like from the Weinstein collection, but they're only one. Like everything they have on there, if it's from the 70s, is dubbed. There is no options for subtitles. Which to me is a little bit worrying, because what that could mean is it could mean they're from TV or a bootleg DVD, which means a lot of editing is done. Same way that it kind of pisses me off that you can't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! On Netflix or shows like that. They're original Japanese, which means you basically get an edited version. Same thing with these Kung Fu movies. Like, I want to watch 36 Chambers. Well, guess what? You can only watch it in the dub. I don't want to do that because I know there's going to be cuts. Also, I know some of these releases, they're going to be Dragon Dynasty. Dragon Dynasty put out some alright releases for for Shaw Brothers movies, which are like 36 Chambers, things like that. But anything that was like the Jackie Chan era, like the Golden Harvest movies, were usually pretty bad if they were Dragon Dynasty. A lot of editing, music changes, name change, everything, a lot of bad things, and that's because bloody Harvey Weinstein was not only a terrible sexual predator, but also someone that just kind of ruined a lot of great action movies in terms of cutting them up and stuff, which not enough people talk about. And I just think a lot of those movies should be taken away, and people should try and get, we have DVDs of the Hong Kong Legends releases. They're really good. There's a ton of them. Just take all of those and chuck them up on Netflix or somewhere like that. Because it seems like Kiss Asian was like the only place to watch some of that stuff. And then, sites like Kiss Anime, like we talked about the Region Lock thing, there's also some titles on there that I couldn't find anywhere on DVD. Or okay, so You're Under Arrest. I really like that show. Can't find that anywhere else to watch. The original first series in sub. Can't find it anywhere. I can find it in dub, but I can't find it anywhere in sub to watch. So there's things like that. And I get these are small, very nitpicky things. But I don't know why some of these licenses can't just make things easier. There's some little things that really could just make it easier. That would stop some degree of piracy in some ways. And I don't know. But I just thought we needed to maybe briefly touch on it because I'm not necessarily for or against piracy. I do like to sometimes support the industry, but sometimes I'll admit I don't. But yeah, this has been Alternating with Eric. We're going to come back from the break. We're going to talk about Tower of God. Alright, so we are back from the break and we are going to talk about Tower of God. So Eric, can you describe the plot of Tower of God to me?
Well, it's a fantasy type series featured around a tower, and this is literal, a literal tower that people have the opportunity to climb to obtain unlimited power, riches, and then whatever else they want.
I think you got a lot better than me, because I was just confused in the first episode. I think it's a little bit...
Yeah, it's centered around the main character who has amnesia, but it was taken care of by a girl. The girl has decided... Yeah, Rachel. The girl decided she wants to climb the Tower of God to, at this point, I think, to see the stars, because as far as we can tell, whatever is seen currently is kind of fake.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically about... It's very... The plot is...
it's easier to follow.
It's easy to follow. I thought it was a little bit confusing at first, but once you get through to the second episode, it's pretty easy to follow.
It almost has the same vibe as Hunter x Hunter during the tournament or the
I'd say though this show, because the visuals are kind of very... I don't know they're kind of crayon-y. They're kind of, it's very distinct. It kind of gave me, even though they're not the same art style, it gave me a bit of a Samurai Jack vibe, where, while it's not necessarily wandering into it kind of is, almost like
it's
each mission
softer.
kind of feels like they wander into it and they're going into it.
Yeah.
And the main character has a sword and he kind of has to discover, and major difference is obviously then Samurai Jack. Dialogue. This one, there definitely is dialogue. But it kind of gave me that vibe. It's definitely kind of got a wandering person sort of thing to it. I liked most of the characters. I thought the main character was kind of, there wasn't really much to him other than he's got amnesia. Rachel, we don't really know anything about at the third episode. No. My favorite character is Gator Dude. The dude that looks kind of like a dinosaur, like a crocodile thing. He's cool.
My favorite character was definitely, not my favorite. I wouldn't say he's my favorite character, but he has reminded me of another character. So this character is Shisho or Shin.
Is it the blue-haired dude?
No, it's the one in the tracksuit who joins up with the
I really like that.
with the
where it
whip
joins up
girl
with, like,
and
the samurai dude and the whip girl.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I took an interest in that character is because he reminded me so much of. No, he reminded me of Aoki from Hajime no Ippo.
Oh, yeah.
So quite similar in character. So he kind of drew my interest.
You mean Aoki? You mean Aoki?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean here. I definitely picked that vibe up as well.
I can't say I have any favorite character because I'm only just getting into this. And I think that the show, 3 episodes in at least, seems to still be in its... It seems to be still in its introductory phase.
Yeah.
So I think it's best to continue watching it.
I would say the stakes aren't super high in the show. Like,
no.
It's laid back.
It's very... There's nothing there set to set up to just even make the main character rush forward to complete the task.
So I wanted to get into some things I like. I like the designs, especially Gator Dude. Gator Dude was like my favorite part. Whenever he was on screen, I was like, this dude is awesome. My other favorite thing, some of the voice acting. I didn't watch this in the dub. I only watched this in the sub. I know I usually watch some things dubbed and then sub, but this one I just watched in the sub. I think his name is Lira Rowe. The character, he had like blonde hair, and I know there's 2 characters that he had short blonde hair. He's one of the administrators or something, but I noticed his voice like straight away, and I was like, that guy's a really cool voice. And the voice actor is Kenjiro Suda, and what you might know him from is he's the deaf guy and Gangster. You know, the guy that has to, like, he kind of has to use sign language and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the crazy dude from Fango from 91 Days. The dude that makes those mafia guys eat a person.
Yeah.
That's very famous.
Yeah,
he's great. He's got a great delivery.
Although I'm
really
a little...
like his voice.
Something about that seems off to me because the character
like
himself,
unsettling, or like
a little bit, like the voice and character don't seem to match that much.
Really? Okay.
Well, at least not to me.
Bit. But the show's a little bit slow. That's what I will say. And the protagonist is a little bit like naively stupid sometimes.
Yeah,
he'll just believe whatever someone tells
I think
him.
amnesia is a good excuse.
Yeah, and at times I thought the story, like the first episode, it's a little hard to follow. But once you get into like those 2 episodes, I think it's pretty good. Well, this has been Alternating with Eric, and when we get back, we are going to have special guest Chung on, possibly. All right.
See you guys.